It's not that I didn't need the money. I really, really missed that money.
How much did they offer?
Oh, it was about, initially they gave 100 million, then they told me they can give you 200. And then I said, 200, I don't know how to carry it. One of them told me, you carry it in dollars. I said, then I take it where?
Hey, and welcome to Fanya Mambo Africa, another super exciting episode because I'm with someone I have looked for so long. Two, I'm with my regular here, none other than Fanya Mambo himself. And three, because he's one of the longest serving legislators in Kenya. But again, he's one of those vocal people that now everybody in Kenya loves to watch, loves to listen him debate, and just wants to be associated with him. Karibu sana, Senator.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
You have become very scarce.
No, I have become everywhere. I'm running up and down, and I have a constituency which is Kisii County.
Yes.
And then we have Senate business. And then I have TV shows that I have to do. And then I've got party issues which are coming up now. So I'm really squeezed with time. I wanted to sincerely apologize for not having come here twice. I thought that 3 times will be bad enough.
Yes.
So I decided to come, and I'm happy to be here.
You are forgiven.
And also, I have been really, really wanting to share this platform with my brother, my younger brother, Fanya Mambo, who I think is extremely gifted and is somebody that talks and says how Kenya is, and I appreciate what he does.
Great. Fanya Mambo, how does it feel to get such stamping from one of the senior most politicians?
It's very humbling because for me, when I started TV, I said, now look here. I can look at all those things I don't have, and then I can look at what I have. So I said, those things that money cannot buy,
it's true,
God has given me. So let me use those things that money cannot buy. And initially, it was very hard to even get a TV interview. They used to be like, you're not even an MCA, you're not elected. Why should we give you an interview?
Yes.
So I got turned down, and I remember I started with very, you'd say, low-key and unpopular TV stations. But sometimes I would go and my message would, and people would be like, this guy is on a small TV show, he should be on the main one.
Yes.
So by God's good grace, it got there. And it's humbling to hear Senator approves what we have been doing. And we are praying for more grace to continue connecting, because it's not just speaking, it's being able to connect. You need to speak in a way that people will say, I relate.
Yes.
And it's even bigger that now we have left TVs, now we are online.
Yes.
And the online space has opened. I see both of you, your clips are always trending on TikTok, Twitter, everywhere.
Yes, I maybe will repeat what Fanya Mambo has said. It is, most people don't understand that it is not easy to be given a platform like this one. Or for me in that case, be given a TV show and you're able to come in and articulate issues and raise them. First of all, make sure you are sensible. And number 2, make sure you are actually saying the truth. And number 3, make sure that you maintain your sanity.
So you're not doing it for the trends?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I've told people this, and I want to repeat it here. Our country is a place that needs to go to the next level, but we have refused to move. So, personally, it has taken me, I would say, the last 5 years to meticulously go point by point and look and say, what is it? Why are we the way we are? What is it that is happening to us? Then I decided to go, of course, going to school helps. So some of the training I got in school enabled me to begin to look at the trends. What happens when you see a certain trend? One of the famous, how do I put it? The famous, I don't want to call it an accolade, recognition I've been given is that I was, I think, the first politician to say that Gen Zs are coming to the streets.
Yes, and I was coming to that because you're the senator who spoke about adani deals in Kenya.
Yes, all that is that when I'm given with a challenge or I'm given with an event, my job is to look at that challenge or that event and analyze it and try and simplify it and make sure that a normal, ordinary person who is not even interested in politics is able to say, actually, he's saying the truth. I think I understand what he's saying. That's what has been happening to me. So I'm really lucky, and it's true. I sometimes get very, very shocked at the reactions. Like yesterday, my media team told me one of my clips is at 4.6 million views. How is that possible? It's overwhelming. But again, I am enjoying it.
You're loving it. Well, Fanya Mambo has been loving it, I think, for quite a long time now.
Yes.
Now, let's just get into it. We have seen uniting of politicians, which is one thing that Gen Zs were against last year.
Yes.
You too, and I was there during the launch of PLP, People's Liberation Party by Martha Karua. Why are politicians coming together for their own interests?
Thank you. A very good question, which requires a very good answer. I'll tell you this. Maybe I start the journey from where it started. It is true that we sat after the Gen Zs came to the streets and were discussing. I will talk from the audience side. We were discussing on what we need to do because Gen Zs had come to the street, the government is collapsing, and we now had to be the adults in the house. So naturally, the questions we are asking, number one, if you let the government fall, what then is the consequential result of that fall? Were the Gen Z team ready to take over the government? Which was what happens in other places. They were not ready because they were saying they are non-tribal, they are non-party, they are non-this. So for us, we understood the anger and understood the situation where they were. Then for me, as a politician, I had to ask myself, either the government falls and the military takes over, or the government falls and you bring in militias, and our 47 counties would most probably have 47 militia leaders. You understand, Fanya Mambo, what that means. And then you take those 47 members and the ones you're going to bring, once the government has fallen and it has been thrown down the dustbin of history, tell me how you're going to pick 47 people and start negotiating with them back to the table discussing the issues of the country. So we said, allow Mzee Raila to negotiate with William Ruto. Initially, it had nothing to do with governance. How you can just stop from the ship collapsing. So they must have agreed amongst themselves, and we gave him an okay. But it was not unconditional. That agreement that we gave him was not unconditional. We never said, now go and kill the Gen Zs. Now make sure you are abducting these kids. Now make sure that when you bring in your government, you're going to start telling me, once you've joined this government, how now you are enjoying the largesse. How some guys are telling me how sweet government is. How they are now beginning to profile communities and tribes and taking state resources and beginning to share them in public so that then they can have many people run to them. And yet the reality is that the Constitution is very simple. Share state resources equitably, fairly, and a just manner. So once I understood that that's where we are, I now knew we were in trouble. So my reality was simple. I then began to see the gaps on what exactly has been happening in our government. I understood why President Ruto got into the mess he is. I mean, the corruption is obvious.
But Fanya Mambo, do you feel then he's explained from someone in leadership, do you feel they were selfish in terms of meeting the needs of the Gen Zs?
No, I wish you would let me just finish then.
Okay.
So that after we now allowed that to take place, which of course the Gen Zs have really disagreed with, and I respect the position that they felt which the system should have collapsed. My argument is very simple. There are times when you don't want to throw away the baby in the water.
And that was
so
one of those.
That is now how it came out that we started talking. Now in these talks, and that is where you left me, we then had Mzee Raila moving on to the right with President Ruto. They have gone, they have decided they're going to form a coalition government, they're going to do that and all that. And what some of us are saying, there were basic minimums we had expected that Raila would have negotiated about. That the issue of people being abducted, of as the corruption scandals. I mean, Fanya Mambo, how can somebody withdraw 3 trillion shillings in 7 months. And that's normal. And then we started to see the issues on health. Then you look at university funding, and we've been talking about that, all this. In fact, like Nelson Harvey said this morning, and he's really an incredible friend of mine, we are soon having a good number and we'll be talking these things. Harvey said, this whole place looks like a crime scene. I mean, people take state resources, they make arrangements what they're going to do with them, they agree who's going to share those resources, they're just pilfering the money, the systems are not working, and it looks very normal.
Do you feel these guys were selfish? Because he's not agreeing to their selfish. He's saying they thought. So the thoughts did not come to life.
To start with, allow me to say something that is not very popular. I'm a millennial. I'm not a Gen Z. And I invite every young person to close their eyes or to turn on their TV and Google Sudan. And Google Somalia.
Yes.
And Google Bangladesh.
I think that third option should not be there.
Sometimes
it's actually doing better.
No, sometimes
no, seriously.
Yes, it is doing better. The reason I put it there is deliberate. That you can remove a horrible government and end up with none, and then you have a Sudan story. Or you can go the Bangladeshi way, but it's also usually a very small percentage of countries that are able to do that.
Can I interject just there?
Yes.
We speak about these things as though Kenya is just waiting for war, like we're just ready to get these guys out and go to war. I'll give a very living example. Today, Burkina Faso went to that. Where are they now? Why is it that we are speaking of Burkina Faso growing, like doing well with an army junta, yet here in Kenya, we keep telling people it's a threat to have had the army coming.
No, I can say something.
Fanya Mambo, I'm feeling so sweet.
Yes.
You see, leader, Traore is not a normal African.
He's not alone. There's Mali and Niger.
No, what we are saying is the African consciousness which allows a leader, and you prepare that leader to take over governance once the systems have failed. You must be determined that you must be sure that the leader you're bringing will be able to make you climb the bridge or cross the bridge. The problem we had is that under that circumstance, assume that you had brought Makaure as your president.
He's not in the army.
No. That time he was the star. That time he was your leader. That time Makaure was all over the place. He's the guy everybody was saying, that's the material we are looking at. Assume that week that the government had fallen, that Makaure was the guy you brought in. Look at where he is now. These are the reality of practical politics. I am a practical practicing politician who worries about the quality and capacity of the leadership that we have, that including the voter, including our voters. The issue that came out and the challenges that we faced at that time, it would have been irresponsible for me as the Senator of Kisii County, or indeed as a member of parliament, to say, let the government fall, now we are starting afresh. I go back to the point he's making. There are times when you must save the country, even if it means you give it a little bit of time for you to configure what to do next, because throwing the baby with the water is more consequential.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
But have we saved the country?
This is what I was coming to. And it needs to be very clear. That's why I said it's an unpopular opinion. If there had been a visible, proper replacement for William Ruto, and we knew that, as Gen Zs were saying, they wanted to occupy State House. In fact, when I looked at what they were saying, that somebody was booking Charlene's wig, another one was booking the grey Lexus. Nobody was booking the presidency. Nobody was saying that once we occupy State House, we shall give it to so-and-so.
Yes.
Now, the problem would have been a horrible human being would have taken advantage of that.
Thank you.
And we would have had an Idi Amin situation. I've always told Kenyans, if people had occupied State House on that day, life as we know it now, you know, the way you wake up in the morning, you make pancake for your children, and take them to school, it will not be the same. These things that we take for granted, like a normal life where you can wake up one morning and do the simplest of things, tell your child, I love you, and tell them bye as they go to school, for those who drop their kids to school, or even if you're taking them to where the school bus is, or you have the parent who gives them a 20 bob, namwambia panda matatu, that would not be happening. Because the person, let me tell you, nature abhors vacuum.
That's true. But
and the people in the army...
Before we speak about a vacuum, I want to question, this country is led by a constitution, right?
Yes.
God forbid, if the president was not there today, what would happen?
The deputy would take over.
Based on the constitution.
That is true.
That's why I'm asking, why was it that politicians were pushing this agenda of war so much without telling people the constitution gives actually 1, 2 other options?
Can I reply to that?
I think I want to take on that. Let me tell you, the constitution had never envisioned a situation where people would come and take over State House. Because if they take over State House and take over all arms of government, it means there's a vacuum.
Yes.
That vacuum cannot be filled by the deputy. Remember, people are saying they want the whole administration to go. So they would have kicked William Ruto out. They would have kicked Rigathi out. They were angry with the Speaker of the National Assembly.
You remember the song?
At least they were not angry.
You remember
with
the song of Dereva na Makanga?
Yes.
Same argument.
But we had the Speaker and the
Speaker
Chief
is
Justice.
part of the problem.
People were so angry with the Speaker because...
At that point, the Chief Justice was not being kicked out.
At that time, I wouldn't want you to bring the Chief Justice onto this argument. Let me tell you why. What did we have? This was not a normal occurrence. That's my interpretation, right?
Yeah.
So as a result of that, you got to a stage where you had literally these young patriotic Kenyans literally chasing the president out of State House, and this for that week, I can tell you it was the saddest week I've ever seen most of the politicians sit around to discuss any matter. That decision, there were a whole lot of ODM and Azimio members of parliament and senators who were also insisting, let it go, let it collapse. But because people like me, I've worked in foreign affairs, and I'm glad you brought the Sudan issue and everything. When a state collapses and becomes dysfunctional, the parameters under which you're going to start reconstituting that state are non-existent. So we said, like now, you see, we are into this thing we call democracy. We have a constitution that is supposed to guide us. We have this that is supposed to be telling us how we govern and manage ourselves. The point is very simple. If you destroy the country, that becomes irrelevant. If you destroy the country, even with as most vicious, like right now, you see the stealing that is going on and all these things. My argument, and this is purely, and I could be wrong, but my argument right now is, and some people have thought I was trying to be an apologist to the Ruto regime. I mean, the Ruto regime, even if right now he offered me to be his deputy president, I wouldn't even want to be there. My argument is very simple. We must take the space we have got. The younger generation has already told us the messes we have created. It is only that the dysfunctionality of our governing, the fact that parliament has been taken by the executive, the fact that the executive is becoming more dictatorial, the fact that the opposition, which is supposed to be the last line of defense for Kenyans, has now slept with the government, does not mean that many of us and a few of us, Fanya Mambo and us, are not willing to stand up and say, no, what you are doing, you are taking us the wrong direction. My argument is, this thing we call democracy allows us to make decisions which may not be popular, but which may be nationalistic for us to save the country.
Fanya Mambo, is democracy working for Kenya? Genuinely?
Let's just say this. Democracy is working. You know, democracy will give you Salasia. Democracy will give you Kawanjiko. Democracy will give you every sort of leader that you're seeing in parliament. I think the question should be, after democracy, what do we have good governance? Because once you elect Kawajiko, ask yourself, are you getting the services? And that's why we said democracy is good. But Kenyans now in 2027 must move to the next level. And if you want to test democracy, I think I usually say Kawajiko was the best example. Because people came and said that tutaki engineer, tutaki daktari, tutaki nini, tunataka mtoto wa single mother. And what is democracy? They made him their MP. And one of the biggest challenges he had in parliament was to pronounce the word bursary and to explain anything else that used to happen. And so democracy, is it working? Yes, it's working because it has shown us that you literally can wake up and decide we are going to vote for a duck. I'm not saying he's a duck or a piece of chicken. You can decide that this photo is going to be our MP and the photo will become MP because democracy is working. I think what is not working is governance. And Kenyans need to move from democracy now to governance and ask themselves, now that we have the leader we wanted, do we have the services we deserve? And now when you question yourself about governance is when you start saying, oh, it was not just about electing a person to punish another one. It's now about electing someone on the basis of the merit and who they are and what they can deliver. So democracy is working, governance is not working.
Governance comes with the whole idea of having political parties, right? You were part of Azimio.
Yes.
In the past election. Was. Yours is now was past tense.
Even me, I was.
You're not even letting me finish. Yes. The good senator here represents in parliament, though. ODM. You represent ODM.
Yes.
ODM is now, I don't know, the mongrel of government.
Absolutely.
Is you and your team of ODM have given us that.
No, not me.
No, you believe
that? No. The party leader was supposed to give President William Ruto the cushioning to the extent that his government would be stable. There was actually no problem whatsoever, him maintaining the individuals he gave that he calls experts. The rules of the game changed the moment he started talking about we are forming this coalition government. It is, I don't know whether it's bread-based or broad-based. Now he is blood-based. Now he's moving over. He's saying we are going to make a broad coalition where, in fact, I'm told that his only issue that has held him back is Kalonzo Musyoka hasn't crossed over, and him and Kalonzo and the president would have signed. And I'm like, I want my party leader, Raila, to understand that he's more injurious to the governance of Kenya than any other dictator who has served before him. Why? Because it is Raila who's deliberately creating, and I remember William Ruto talking at the Chatham House, and there was discussion there. It is Raila who's actually creating this mongrel of something that cannot oversight government, that is going to implement government projects, that is not going to be answerable to anybody, because the narrative we are being given is that we and this all together, and by us being into this bus, which is coordinating all of us as the broad-based, then Kenya is okay. Kenya is not okay.
So which party are you in now?
I'm waiting until I finish my term.
So for now, do you go with the ideologies of ODM?
No, by now, everything that ODM will say that is correct, I'll support them. Anything they say that is wrong, I'll talk about it and say it's wrong. I completely love my Secretary General Sifuna. If the party decides to kick him out, it's up to them. They can kick me out too.
Okay,
we are actually, yes, I'm ready to go for elections today.
Okay, and the question that most Kenyans will ask is, you're in this party, yes, even the UDA, whatever KK party members are in it.
Yes.
And they really do not want to exit officially.
Yes.
They want to be kicked out. Why does it have to take you waiting to be kicked out rather than exiting? And number two,
yes,
do you have genuine conversations with people like Raila Odinga? The same question I would pose to someone who's in UDA but not in UDA.
Yes. Why would you want me to leave my job that I love, where I do my job? I'm just telling Kenyans the truth about what's wrong with my party. And this is what I think Fanya Mambo has raised. The exciting thing about our country is that even when we dismiss it, I mean, look at what we are doing here. This is a show. I can discuss anything so long as it's not liable. That was good. That has enabled us to say things which could not be said in the last 20 years when I started joining politics. My point is, as Fanya Mambo is saying, our challenge is governance. And for me, my position is, I don't think my party leader Raila understands the damage this mongrel called the broad-based government is doing to our governors, because right now all your members of parliament are on the take. They're being given kickbacks using government projects. They're being given kickbacks by having relatives being employed. They're being given kickbacks. You saw, I don't know whether it's true, there's money which is kept in containers in State House and anywhere. People are being given. We are deliberately making sure that our structure is hemorrhaging, deliberately. And that is why you see no member of parliament can say the things we say. I talked about how the consolidated fund is now open. Look what happens. We have 1.3 trillion that was removed manually out of the exchequer.
Which the PS says, quote unquote, is a lie.
Hold on.
That's why I put quote.
Just wait. Between the PS, between my party leader, who would I believe? Nancy Githuku, the Auditor General, or Madam Nyakango, who's the controller budget, or both of them? I'll take the controller budget. Yeah. Those are some of the most incredibly brave Kenyans who have served their country in dignity. If you see how many times they are under attack, the Auditor General must be removed. The controller budget is because this is the last line of defense we have. The amount of money and pilferage and stolen resources that are being stolen. Right now, I wouldn't believe John Badi. What is it? I mean, he said Adani was nothing. Remember, I asked him a question in the House. Remember, I asked him a question about geothermal, Ketraco. We talked about the transmission of Kenya power lines from Turkana down to what happened. They said there's nothing like that. Look at it. When we started talking about Adani, what did they say? Oh, Onyonka just wants drama. You know, he has nothing to do. He doesn't know. Look, it came out to pass. What we are saying is, we are behaving badly as a leadership.
Yes.
As a leadership, we have become selfish. We have become self-engaging. We are ready to get rich quickly. All right, this primitive accumulation thing where people are crazy about owning houses in Dubai. You have somebody driving with 14 Land Cruisers. You have people building houses with 24 beds. That is a consequence of the dysfunctionality of our leadership.
Fanya Mambo, he's speaking from as someone who's been ODM and says now he's out from the way they are working now. Question would be, the way we have seen them debate, we have seen him, we have seen Sifuna, and a few other guys who, you know, Babu Widow, who stand out and say, this thing is not working. Do you think if today Raila Odinga decides to partner with Ruto, and because I saw he's saying NADCO report should be implemented, which means essentially he will be in government full. I think he's already full. But do you think ODM will stand the test of time? I mean, it's one of the oldest parties in Kenya.
I think I want to have a conversation, a very sincere and genuine conversation with a Baba supporter.
He's here?
A Baba supporter down there. Kama wewe unajua unapenda Baba and you follow Baba. And Baba is the person who, when he says you go left, you go left. I want us to have a very honest conversation, because sometimes I speak about things and then you think I'm fighting Baba. Baba told you that he donated experts to government. One of those experts is Mbadi. Mbadi has watched 1.3 trillion being taken away
in 7
months from Treasury. And Mbadi has done nothing, and Mbadi has not spoken about it. If you're a Baba supporter, I want you to help me. Tell me, do we continue following Baba? Baba donated experts, and one of them is Oparanya. Oparanya is running the ministry that is in charge of Hustler Fund. We've just learned that more than 8 billion has been stolen from that.
From Hustler Fund, yes.
Please tell me, kama wewe ni Baba supporter, do you want us to continue following Baba? Because the experts he gave have overseen 1.3 trillion gone. The other one has overseen 8 billion gone. And I can go on and go on and go on. If you're a Baba supporter, before you hate me, because I'm telling you the truth, let us discuss these issues and let us agree on them. Let us ask ourselves, do we really want to continue following Baba into this pit that he's taking us? Do you know how much 1.3 trillion is? Thika super highways was 32 billion. 1.3 trillion is so many Thika highways. You can build them, you build
30 of them.
It's 30 super highways, Thika. So when we tell you that there's a problem here, don't say ati mimi ni Mkikuyu nachukia Baba. No. I am just telling you that if we continue, a lot more, and those are the ones we know. Very soon the controller of budget is going to release a lot more information. And by the way, if you're a Baba supporter, you just need to know there's something called Shashu for help. And as we speak right now, it cost 104 billion. Those are 3 superhighways, Thika superhighway, 104 billion to just procure a system that we cannot touch and see and feel.
Yes.
That's what it cost. And they have already told us if you add 1.5% plus the 5% plus the 2.5, it comes to 9%. In 10 years, they are going to steal 111 billion.
Yes.
Clean.
They're going to steal. They will, I promise you. Our Baba has not spoken about it. Now, I don't want to fight Baba, but tell me what to do with him. If you're a Baba supporter, the last thing I'll tell you, Baba came and told us Adani was clean. Don't fight him. He's good. He says we go left, we go left. So let us not fight him. But now you and I know that Adani is not clean. So tell me what we are going to do with Baba. I want that to come from Baba supporters. Yes. I want you to tell me what we are going to do with him. Do we follow him and lose the 111 billion? Continue following him, lose 1.3 trillion. Continue following him, we lose the Hustler Fund. Continue following him and we lose all this money. Miss Jasema mchukie Baba. I want you to continue loving him, but I want you to tell me what we are going to do with him. Because that is a conversation that we must have. And it's not just an issue of trying to tribalize everything. And allow me to say this. There's a conversation that government is trying to craft.
Yes.
And we will fight that.
Before we go to that conversation, I'm sure the supporters will come back to you in the comment section because they're always alive on that. But before I lose the numbers, these are numbers that, we're speaking of numbers that essentially mean loss of livelihoods for Kenyans, for us as Kenyans.
Yes, it's true.
When you see these numbers and you are, let's say, call it, you're a senator, you're a member of parliament, right?
Yes.
When you see these numbers and you know very well, someone like me may not go to parliament, but I am dependent on you as a voter in Kisii.
Yes.
What should I expect when I hear 104 billion? When I come out and say, Sha is not, genuinely maybe I went and I was not assisted, but then we go to a burial of an MP and we are told it paid whatever number of million.
Let me tell you, that has been one of the most difficult things I had to do as an MP initially and as a senator. Because sometimes these figures are so astounding, our people don't believe them. I can tell you today, if I had not stuck it out on the Adani issue and the other gentleman, Abuga, and in fact, many people don't know that story was brought to me by my PA, who does my little media things. They were friends with the gentleman, Amenya. I didn't know Amenya. We've never met up to now. It's just that my PA told me, he said, if there's a national issue that I would wish somebody talked about it, and even if you don't do anything, this is it. When I looked at the implication of that transaction, it blew me. Because I couldn't understand how you take your inheritance and hand it over to other people for a period of 30 years, and with an extension of for it to hit 100 years, where foreigners are collecting your revenues, where you're firing all the people who have been under the Kenya Airports Authority, where you are actually giving all the 11 airstrips in the country. That was abnormal for me. Then I had to tackle it. Hadn't I stuck my head on it, I think today everybody would be thinking I'm a laughing stock. Fortunately, I have a very interesting God. I think there isn't any single thing I've ever said that has come not to pass. Most of the stuff I say, I talked about SHA, I talked about Nairobi West Hospital. The owner is the one who's the dealer in government now, he's the deep state. I talked about how Ketraco, KenGen, how our parastatals now, bills are being passed in parliament quickly. We are bringing them together. Omnibus, you know, most people will never read when 36 bills are put on. You know what I'm saying? With all that stuff, you talk about maybe 1,200 pages. Imagine if that story hadn't been true, what it would have meant for me, because it would have meant I was just, and you know the normal story in the National Assembly and the Senate, and understand where the public is. Somebody starts a story, and there are many rent collectors there. Somebody starts a story about something. After 1, 2, 3 pressers, you see it disappear. It's because money exchanges hands. It's not that I didn't need the money. I really, really missed that money.
How much did they offer?
Oh, it was about, initially they gave 100 million, then they told me they can give you 200. And then I said 200, I don't know how to carry it. one of them told me, you carry it in dollars. I said, then I take it where, And then when I began to see the weightiness and the public reaction to that matter, we stood our foot down. You noticed finally the president came and capitulated. He said, okay, let's leave it. We've never seen the agreement being reversed or the agreement being cancelled or any correspondence. So where we are as a country, and I've said this and I'll repeat it here to both of you, and I believe, Fanya Mambo, you're part of the team. Doesn't matter what it takes. If it means we are 3 or 4 of us, we will continue to talk about it. I never expected Raila to go and join the government of the day. And you have our people, Kenyans, being abducted and being killed, like I said the other day, in some stadia where people's heads are chopped off. That I cannot live with. I find it so disturbing. I find it so emotionally, it's deep for some of us. So I'm saying...
Wait. There's something you've just overrun, which is very serious.
Yes.
And we even posted that clip, and people are worried that what you're saying, that young people being killed in a stadium in Western.
Yes.
Could you just clarify that or share more?
No. I will teach you something because I worked in foreign affairs. Did you see anybody respond and say it's not true?
Why is this happening?
You know it's true. Do I need to expound any further? I don't have to. Did you hear a single individual, either from the county that I mentioned? I didn't give the name deliberately because I'm waiting for them to bring. I have more. I even know the names of the individuals. And I've said, I will not give the names, and I have no interest in it. I just wanted Kenyans to know that abductions are continuing as we politic and laugh. We go to funerals in Kakamega to go and bury our guys beautifully. And yet in one of the counties next to Western Kenya, people are being slaughtered like chicken. How can that be normal? That is not normal.
That could explain something. I remember one young person who had been abducted was found in West.
Yes.
So they were probably
he was being taken there
to the butchery.
Yes. Most probably the young man could have even have bribed. You see, he's never talked after that. He must have been told, don't say anything. So these are the challenges we have. And I'm telling our people, and I'm telling the young people, it's not that we are insensitive to the issues that right now exist in our country. It is just that we believe that this thing we call democracy allows the brave ones to continue with the journey. And the young ones must accept and acknowledge that some older people within us mean well. I have absolutely no intention of wanting even to be the senator next. I mean, I've been around for a while. I'm just realizing we are in some bad space.
Fanya Mambo, this bad space and what Senator is speaking about. I mean, guys have been speaking about abductions since last year until now. When you hear such things, and I have also seen online guys are getting angry again and calling for maandamano, what does that make you feel? And what would be your message, especially to the young people? And of course, the system, because it's a system.
First and foremost, if people use common sense, they will learn that butchering people has not worked. They beat up Joya Maandamano has gone on. They made Matiba what they made him. They made a very brilliant guy to look like he was a cabbage. It didn't stop the fight. They tortured so many people, but it hasn't worked. In politics, you have two weapons. You can either butcher people or you can persuade people. You win anytime you use persuasion. It's the biggest tool.
Absolutely.
This nonsense of trying to take people to, torture chambers, they've tried. The world over, it hasn't worked. One of the reasons why Obama achieved quite a bit is because he used the tongue. J.F. Kennedy was a great president because he used his tongue. Any other person who is using any other weapon other than, and I keep saying, the reason we are human beings and the reason we are superior to every other creature is because we have language. We can talk. Animals can't. So by the time you find yourself using weapons, you've gone to animal level.
Yes.
If you can use language, then it means you're superior. Look at Trump. He's winning. Why is he winning? Look at Russia. They are doing well. Why are they doing well? Because they have chosen that out of all the weapons they have in their arsenal, they are going to use language. And what are they doing now? They are marshalling words, they are marshalling everything that is found in the dictionary that has got something to do with peace and an end to war. And the Russian-Ukrainian war is going to end because human beings are going to use language. Let them try bombs if they think bombs work. Yes. They will bomb each other, that rubbish will go nowhere. So President William Ruto, my message to you is clear. If you people are thinking that Subarus will help you, my advice is now start using SGR, because the number of people who are willing to be abducted is so high, Subaru will not do. Mchukue tu SGR, ikuwa kuna kazi ingine inafanya, it's just abductions. So Kenyans have gotten to the point where they are willing to give their lives for the sake of their country. So the best thing that they can do right now is pull back and say, wait a minute. But I also have something I want to tell young people. Are you aware that there are times we've won more online than we have done on the streets?
Yes.
I'm not saying the streets are bad, but I remember there was a certain leader who was supposed to come here from Europe. And you young people, God bless you, you sent 300,000 emails saying that person should not come here.
They cancelled.
They cancelled. They didn't come. There's a time you sent messages to the White House. There's a time you sent messages to... So I'm telling young people...
And sorry, as you're adding, because my brain sometimes flies off. And these are some of the things that we who are of like mind and we who are supporting what the Gen Zs are doing. For example, it's going to be a time soon we are going to have to discuss what you're going to do with those people and institutions that are known publicly, that are owned by individuals who are subjugating our rights.
Yes.
We'll just boycott.
Yes.
You know, we check, who is the owner of Uber? It's Nani. You see how he's treating us. This month, don't take any Uber.
Yeah.
It's Faras, whatever these guys are fighting over, all those things, even the hotels, people just boycott. Imagine they'll come back to the table and say, you guys, what is it?
But some of those hotels, if you want to die, you just go and have lunch there.
Yeah.
And people know them, and people have always avoided them. You go there for a conference, the only thing you do is avoid lunch.
Yes.
Because if you want to die, you eat there. So already the hotel is self-defeating. God is very fair.
Okay.
So what I would like to say, for young people, all we are going to do, and I have always said, there's a minister who came threatening us. Young people donated hair to him. We've not seen that minister speaking again. And when they felt the hair was not enough, they even made a landing strip on his head.
Maybe that was the new Adani location.
So what I am saying is, whereas of course there were extremes that people went to, there's a lot we can achieve on the digital space to speak up our minds and to be heard. The Kenya Kwanza administration is prepared for your bodies. In fact, they have a helmet, they have a baton, they have tear gas. They've looked at the human anatomy. They have something for your nose, something for your eyes. They even have bullets for your head. The only thing they have not prepared for is your brains. When you spill your brains at this administration, they get confused. I remember Museveni tried threatening our young people. They put him in a coffin and even put pamba in his mouth. Since then, he's not spoken. His son took over.
The son has threatened one of our companies here in Kenya.
Let him keep threatening. And he knows what will happen.
Nice.
He knows what will happen to him. So all we are trying to say is that this fight will be fought on so many fronts. But if they want to build this nation, let them talk to us. Let them stop talking at us. And let them stop stealing from us.
Yes. That part is key. And in line with that, Senator, it is out there. The president said that the people who are complaining about SHA are people who are the cartels who are stealing from NHIF. Unfortunately, most of the people who are complaining are citizens who never owned any companies or ever benefited from NHIF, except for the fact that they paid, went to hospital, got treatment. MPs, senators, some of them are saying it's not working. You've gone to the ground, you've heard what people are saying. Why is it so hard for, I don't know, the president to listen, take a step back, and fix
I think,
or just abandon that ship and decide, we can work with NHIF for now as we fix this? Why is that? And also,
that's what his people tell him. But the reality, you had the statement about when you want to catch a thief, you set a what? You set a thief.
Yeah.
The president is just trying to deflect. Say this thing has nothing. Who told him that we said that somebody is stealing the money? No. What we are telling him is that he has got a system that is there which is stealing the money deliberately that system is so complex to the extent that even some of the medical practitioners, they are not supposed to talk to patients physically.
The CS for health doesn't understand it.
No, she doesn't. Yes. And because of that, you see what is happening is all your data, whether it's your DNA, whether it's your blood sample and everything, you know what they're going to do now?
No, tell
They'll
me.
send it to India. That's where the mother company is. So they're going to start keeping data about who is HIV positive, who's got high blood pressure, who has got hypertension. In other words, we have relinquished our sovereignty in terms of our medical well-being and handed it over to strangers. That's the way we have handed over the management of the financial system. And if the president doesn't know, please let me just tell him, because I'm tired of advising him. That system is designed, Your Excellency, so that when the hospitals start remitting the money, and so that when the figures are being distributed according to the areas, the sections, the departments, the medical services and all that is supposed to be managed by your people. All the health facilities that will be paid, you are the one who will make the decision to pay them. Many of the hospitals that are running right now, in fact, we are being told they're being managed and run by friends of the president. So why would you want to keep the system and not the central bank, or indeed, for that matter, the treasury that is supposed to be running that system? That system is dysfunctional deliberately because it's going to be collecting money from all the areas. You see, when the president talks about how NHIF people were stealing the money, now they'll even steal it better because the government doesn't know who's using it.
At this point, who is the government?
There is no government under the Shah system. We have given that to foreigners. They're the ones who are running the system. When we were talking about education funding for the university, same thing. These are systems. The reason why, if you see any government, I was taught this again when I worked in foreign affairs. If you find any government system not working, it is deliberate.
So it's by design, it will not work for
the Controller Budget and Auditor General. They have said we were supposed to have done 200,000 houses by now. How many do we have? 5,000. And then what has happened? We don't know where the money is. Why is it not working? That is why it's not working. All these things are not working deliberately because they have been designed deliberately to fail.
You know how I look at it? As a citizen,
yes.
A common citizen, basically, there's nothing much I can do.
Yes.
You have the power, you
yes.
and the other 47 and the 269 and all these nominated.
True.
What is it that you're doing about it? Or are you just now going to complain with me and Fanya Mambo and the rest of us?
I'll explain to you. You have got 65 senators and you have got 300 members of parliament. I can tell you today, and I've said it before, out of the 300 members of parliament, maybe you could be lucky if you kept 10 who are willing to talk to government and say this is wrong. If you come to the Senate where we are, you should see when I'm raising issues about these corruption issues on the Senate. I mean, I've been having my committees, they've removed me because I'm talking about corruption within county governments, and these county governments, unfortunately, many of them are ODM, and ODM governors are the ones who are stealing most of the money. That is not me. That is the Auditor General saying. But you see, again, the dysfunctionality of your country is when you have this broad-based, whatever they are, the government is supposed to have 3 arms: judiciary, legislation, and the presidency, which is the executive. The legislation has gone. We have 2 legs left. Now, you have me being in the Senate, I'm raising and talking about issues on a daily basis, I'm being targeted. Why? Because people think, what is it that I want? Even the money, I'm not asking for it. I've told them, it's not the money, you fools. It's not the money. Well, some of us have reached a stage we are saying, what the heck will I talk about when I'm not in this house? What is it that we're leaving our children? Why is it that we become like we are? I mean, you people should visit Dubai like I do, and you go and you are shown 47 houses somebody has paid where each house is $1 million. That doesn't worry a Kenyan.
It worries them, but most Kenyans actually do not have that information.
ESCC is compromised. They are now running around picking 2-3 police officers in the streets who are taking traffic money. I mean, how can 1.3 billion shillings be picked out of the central bank and yet no investigation, not even a parliamentary commission to investigate whether it was done within the law or not, because they argue that money was used for paying our debts. The reality is our debt is 800 billion. The difference is 600 billion. Where is it?
Very good questions. Unfortunately, at this point, we can only make people understand how painful that is. But do we as Kenyans now resign to fate that?
No, we have suggestions.
No.
We have suggestions. Number one.
Because you see now, if our good senator here is raising issues, then getting chopped off the committees, me and you are not even in any committee.
I think number one proposal is, because I have had so many cases against this administration, I don't even feel like filing another one.
Yes.
In fact, it's very expensive for me. And, I don't go asking Kenyans for money. Not that I have money, but I work so hard. And then when I have to pay a lawyer to just help me file a matter in court against this administration. I have so many cases right now. I don't even feel like filing another one. But I'll tell you one thing. You see, our members of parliament, those in Senate plus those in the National Assembly, are not consumers of SHA. They have a medical cover that covers them to the tune of 10 million.
But did you hear the president say it covered 9 million for the late MP?
Yes. So now...
But that's an exception.
That, of course, they made it. He just called his friends from Nairobi West Hospital and told them this thing has to work for this one.
Yes.
This is what I'm trying to say. If SHA is so good, we want the president and all members
to be in it.
To be in SHA.
Yes.
They disband the one they have for 10 million.
For 10 million, yes.
Alternatively, they put all of us Kenyans in the one for MPs. It is that simple.
Yes.
What is sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander.
gander.
So we want all of us to be embodied on that one, the one for MPs. Alternatively, if we can't fit in that one, they remove all MPs and put them in this one. I've always said, if you want to fix... You saw children studying or sitting on stones in Baringo.
In Baringo, yes.
It is very simple again. And I don't know which parliament this will go through. That no elected member of parliament will have their child going to a private school.
It's true.
If you just pass a law and say that all children of all civil servants
True.
or elected members of parliament must go to public schools.
No, you're very ambitious because...
they will spend the night painting.
In this case, why I'm saying you're very ambitious is because it's them who make laws. So that law will not see the...
No. You see where we are today, and that is a point I keep mentioning too. Don't lose your track. You may think nothing will happen, but we must continue putting out there the necessary noise for common sense to prevail. We must begin to say what he's saying. I saw Sabina Chege bringing the bill. I said, Jesus must have talked to her last night. She's saying, every person who happens to be a public officer can only be treated in government facilities. What is wrong with me not being taken to Kenyatta Hospital?
Nothing.
Why can't I go to Kenyatta level 7 hospital, which is in Kiambu? These are the issues we are raising. The moment we started diagnosing what our problem is as a country is the day you allowed me as Richard Onyonka first, where I remove my children from the public school and I take them to the Makinis, the Riaras, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the reality is very simple. Why would I care to take any responsibility for the school system which is failed, and yet I have other people who fix the system, and I'm stealing your money from the public coffers, and I'm able to afford the 600,000 a term that I'm supposed to pay to a child? So some sensible people will have to come with a bill and let us see who will refuse it.
I mean, Sabina is saying it's there, so let's...
We are going to see who will reject it.
We shall be
that is what Rwanda has done. Go to any Rwandese hospital today, any level 5 hospital, anybody can be treated there. The records function. Their hospital insurance system works. Look at what they have done in education. There isn't any private school in Rwanda except for the international teams, and those are diplomats and other people. Rwandese parents, if you want that BS of taking your children to private school, peleka Nairobi, peleka Uganda, peleka whatever, but in Rwanda, public schools, the best in Africa right now. Performance is excellent. Look at their universities performing. Look at their hospital system, it's working. Look at their nurses, the way they are. Soon we'll be hiring Rwandese nurses.
We have maybe even started, but we need to fix our...
The way now we are bringing in Burundi watchmen.
Yeah.
Kangumu sellers
Yes.
from Burundi. Oh, and they all have national IDs.
Exactly.
If you pay them via M-Pesa,
Yes.
they have very interesting names from a region, I'll tell you, in this
Absolutely.
country.
Yes.
So they've all been, that whole idea of registering foreigners began a while ago. And they have IDs, so it's very interesting.
Yes.
And the other day we lifted the vetting of people from the northern
Yeah, it's a very sad place to be.
Very sad. Wow. Okay. Sometimes you talk about this country and it pains so much. But Senator, let me come to something else that has been very, very critical in this country, the church.
Yes.
The church has become, okay, not all churches, because Muheria is being beaten for calling out the government.
Yes.
But the Pentecostal churches, again, not all. There was a bishop Bishop Lai had a very good sermon that people feel that's why he didn't get the 20 million.
Yes.
But the other day we saw President Ruto donate 20 million and promise 100 million. Has the church become a conduit of this corruption? And two, is it just a way of wash? Because how would a president donate, one president, 120 million?
What made him?
I mean,
you see, we take President Ruto as if he's somebody we didn't know, and he just came the other day from Europe. He was on holiday and he became president. Look at how much money President Ruto donated and dished out to Kenyan churches before he became president, even when he was Uhuru's deputy. That's abnormal. Where was the money coming from? That's abnormal. That is why this system, Fanya Mambo, has deliberately been dysfunctional. I can tell you this without any fear of contradiction. I was just thinking about it yesterday and I was at my place. I said, I think I'm having a headache, but let me have some coffee and sleep, and I wake up, I'll be normal. When I woke up, I was a bit normal. Every year, the amount of money we are losing to this corruption and the pilfering of state resources is close to 2 trillion shillings a year. Leave this, you see the one you saw which came out, the 1.3. Now there's another 700 billion which hapo ndani yake. Okay, which comes under bursaries, which comes under I can tell you today, one of the ambassadors who works in one of the offices abroad tells me they have not been paid for 3 months. The embassy's rents have not been paid. And that is taken to the next financial year.
And money not going through the consolidated fund.
Absolutely. So the money is taken out in cash. That's why they said the money was paid how?
In cash.
In manual. The reason for that is that you're beating the system, which was set up by the PFM to control our bad behavior. The bad behavior we have now is that we have messed up the IFMI system. And by the way, last year is when I was making noise. Finally, somebody came and said, now the government owns the IFMI system. The government never owned the IFMI system for the last 8 years.
Oh, it was
it was
a private guy.
It was a private guy, private group that was owning the IFMI system. What happens there? The IFMI system was designed deliberately that it is fast in, fast out. Now what they do with the IFMI system, fast in is last out. Why? Because governors and national government payments being made, you pay your friends, you pay whoever. There's no business following what the PFM Act says. MPs, that doesn't bother them. Why? Because the money that is taken out is shared to them. Because the money that you put under Kera, the money that is put under Kenha, the money that is put, imagine how many times have you seen people saying, we are going to do water pans. Why do you think people always put water pans? 600 million, 480 million. What is a water pan? How can you do a water pan in a dry area where there's no rain? What are you doing the water pan for? Those are the lines under the treasury where money is given out. You saw the other day, 79 billion. Up to now, nobody has answered why was that 79 billion added onto the budget.
Yeah.
And we saw 61 billion is what IEBC needs to conduct the next election.
Absolutely.
And allow me to engage you.
And that 61 billion, nobody today can tell you what it's supposed to be doing.
I did the calculations. If you were to divide the 61 billion by the 22 million voters that we had that time,
thank you,
it would cost 2,800 shillings per person to vote. Rwanda is spending 113 shillings per person to vote. Nigeria is spending 1,000 shillings per person to vote. The United Kingdom was spending 240 shillings per person to vote. France was spending about 400 shillings per person to vote. But Kenya has the most expensive election in the world. It's costing 2,800 shillings for every poor person
I just want to know what it is, because it's just the Kim's kit. And having the person who checks your...
It is not the Kim's kit. There are people who allocate that money and they plan how it's going to be shared and why. And that money, you can only touch it, whether you have been appointed a commissioner or not, by whichever group. Once you are in that place, you must eat that money as a team. Because your rulings on these matters will have to be together as a team.
It's not Cherera 4 this time round.
Yes, it is. Wow. These are the things. This is what I expect my ODM group to be talking about. Yes.
You budget even the
I expected my teams in ODM to say, we want the IBC to do ABCD. We have looked at the budget and it's rational, it's not rational. But nobody's talking. Because if you talk, they either remove you from committee, they insult you. Like every day I'm insulted. Onyonka, you are nothing. Move out if you want. After all, what are you? Nothing. I'm something now.
Oh, you are?
Now I'm something, yes. Now I'm something.
Fanya Mambo, how do we fix this state misuse of resources?
State capture.
We start with, I wanted to file a case. I wanted to file a case in court, actually, as late as yesterday, against the land that is being given to the church. Because it is public land. Only to notice that there's already a matter in court. KDF had also moved in court because of that land case. But it's the absurd. That's the most absurd thing I have seen. How do you give public land to one church belonging to one individual? That, for me, that was the lowest of low. People are talking about the 20 million.
Why are you surprised about that? When we're building houses on public land
with no title.
I'm not surprised about it. I am just a lot more angered by it. That you would wake up one day and think that a church deserves our land more than we do. And there are children who are, there's a lot of good use that we could have put that public land into. And I want to tell Pastor Mwai from where you are, whether you are pastor, you are apostle, or you are bishop, this is the lowest you have sunk. In fact, you should be ashamed of yourself. Corruption takes two. It takes the giver and it takes the recipient. You remove yourself as a recipient of that. You must say no. You cannot be there. And by then he was given money because first he had mobilized a cheering squad. Yes. And then he had prepared a sermon to excite the head of state. And then he turned the whole church into a cheering squad to cheer for the president. And every time they cheered, more money was added. We wish to tell you, Bishop Mwai or Pastor Mwai, this is a very good chance you have. This is an opportunity for yourself to refuse that donation of that land and to say no to that money. There are very many members of that church who were cheering, and shame on them, all of them. How do you cheer and you know you yourselves within that congregation? If I walked in there and I told people to raise hands, if they have a child who is facing capitation problems in the school, they would raise their hands.
Half of them.
That congregation, if I told them, raise your hands, if SHA has not worked for you, they would. Raise your hands if you're having a problem with your university funding model, they would.
Maybe maybe on Sunday he will, because the Gen Zs have said they are now occupying pulpits again. Yeah. Maybe on Sunday he will say, from the experience he'll have with the conversations with the young people, maybe.
I think for me, the scenario we are dealing with is historical. The use of religion to manage and control the public has been studied. Karl Marx and all these big thinkers have discussed is the opium of the people. But the reality is that if you look at Europe, what has happened? Why did Christianity diminish in Europe? Our pastors need to understand that at some point, the public is going to see religion, which we want to have, which is supposed to act as a catalyst for good. And now this religion is becoming part of the cartel that is actually participating in dismembering and destroying the country. What I wish this bishop would do is understand that once the country is put in good stead and it's running well, you minimize corruption, the services are running, the public is comfortable, people are working, the general economy is booming, their tithes would increase. they don't even have to market themselves because people are happier with what they're doing.
Yeah.
The scenario you have right now is, one, I'm happy because I'm Catholic, and I'm happy that Bishop Mweri and company have come up and said, listen, this is not what we expected. And I think more Christians need to begin to ask the president to realize that we are not interested for that money. In fact, just for nuisance value, because I know they'll never pass it, I intend to bring a bill to the floor of the House, and it's going to create an amendment. There's a bill they're doing about public money expenditure bill, where they are taking care of, I don't know whether that's how it's labeled, they're taking care of the harambes and everything. I now want to say that anybody who donates money, the money is not announced. That's the amendment I want to give. And you'll see, nobody will go and give that money.
Yeah, because
Actually,
everyone
yes.
wants to be recognized.
Yeah, sometimes I shouted about it and said that just don't announce how much.
Don't announce. Have a law which says you can't announce how much money you're giving.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, why are these some of these Pentecostal churches not picking the cue from Bishop Anyolo?
Because
Return the money.
there is a reason why they were established. So kuna
Yes.
wale walisema the only thing wanaweza rudisha ni shukrani.
Yes.
There were, if someone established a church to make money from it,
Yes.
And you know why I usually have a huge problem and I make noise about it. Most of these churches don't create employment.
No.
After collecting all that money, they even
take
tell
off.
people to come and volunteer to clean the church.
Yes.
So there's a volume of tears. You're just there cleaning the church. They don't even want to pay someone who is cleaning the church. You know, it's like somebody, I usually say, that's why Kenyans are failing. It's like somebody who has got money to start a small cottage industry.
Yes.
They go and build a rental apartment. You know, a rental apartment, even if it is 10 floors, it creates only one job. One caretaker,
Yes.
one. And probably it's cost 100 million to bring that building to all those floors. I wish that 100 million was in an industry where you employ 30, 40, 50 people.
Yes.
But this one, what Kenyans do, unakuja unajenga flat, you employ one caretaker. Now, these churches are the same. The only person they pay is the watchman. They don't like paying for anything
Anybody.
else. And that is where the problem is.
And you remember the earlier churches, without taking credit away from the Pentecostals and whatever, there are some Pentecostal churches like Rai's place in Mombasa.
Yeah.
You see schools and all that, which has been wonderful. You see Pastor Ezekiel.
Yes, Pastor Ezekiel.
Incredible place.
Yeah.
I mean, university, hospital, you see primary school facility, you see somebody at least who's given back.
Yeah.
Why do you think right now the faith-based institutions are having a problem where their funds are not being paid? Because the fight that is happening between the executive and them. That is how I interpret it. Because they are providing the services, they are treating patients, they have been running hospitals, very good hospitals. Like in Kisii, we have one called Tabaka. We have another one called, I forget, which is in Kisii town. Wonderfully serving the public and everything. And the government just doesn't pay.
Yeah, and we have seen Muheria call out, I think because of the hospital, I don't know the name in Nyeri, there's
Yes.
a hospital also.
Yes.
But anyway, moving on to something else. When Martha was launching her party,
Yes.
you were there.
Yes.
And you said you had been sent by
Fred Matiang'i.
Yes, Fred Matiang'i.
Yes.
Dr. Fred Matiang'i.
Yes.
Good, I put that. Where has Matiang'i been, and is he genuine? Because the other day we had Kioni say he's going to be the
Jubilee candidate.
Yes.
Yes.
Is it for real or is it politics, and where has he been?
Okay, I will answer you because I'm actually allowed to be his spokesman officially. Fred Matiang'i is running for president of Kenya. He's been away. He was employed by an international organization, which now I'm not allowed even to mention them because it nearly brought a lot of noise to him. And he had gotten a contract for 5 years with the hopes of having an extension for another 5 years. He's been doing his own market research. He's used, I think, Sinovate, somebody is checked out, and he's doing quite well in front of the Kenyan public. He decided to run for president. And my honest feeling is, if he's able and he feels he's capable, I think he would make a good president. Then we let him put his foot forward. And what has happened is that I've been representing him. He was here 2 months ago. Jubilee has adopted him. Kioni is really passionate about wanting him to be a candidate using Jubilee because it has a national look and all that. But for me, those are modalities on how you can win the presidency. My conviction is that he needs to come and engage with the team players. He needs to talk to Gachagua, Martha. He should talk to Eugene and all the team. We are all there, and we will agree. The truth is that these days, popularity of a candidate will be seen either socially or practically on whatever it is. But the agenda, I saw yesterday, the other day, the president was really vicious, saying all that these guys want is to remove me. And I liked the response you gave and other people. No, it's not you just that we want to leave office. We want certain things to be done and you are not doing them. If you do them, we have no business removing you from office. But if you are not doing them, it either means you are incapacitated, you are incapable, you don't have the capacity, and you don't have the ability to run the state called Kenya and make sure that you are at least taking care of the 50+1 who even voted for you. Yes. It's not the unpopularity of President William's government is not just because of one side or the other, like he's trying to imply. All right, his unpopularity is across the board. I mean, if you go to Kisii today, we have a problem because all the projects which have been announced, which were supposed to be done, none.
I mean, we have, I think Morara has
yes,
shown
he
us enough of those projects. But I want you to, because I am really active online among the young people that are active. One of the key things young people keep speaking about is they're tired of this recycling of the same old people. Onyonka this is your 5th term, right?
Yes.
There are youths in Kisii who feel, I don't come from Kisii, but I see it online who say, it's been enough, we need a young person to come in. No, I want to get this.
Okay, then
he's in this group.
No, let him continue, then I'll give you an answer. Yes.
How do we get the cohesion between the old and the young, or what should the young people do?
I stand in a very difficult position sometimes, because I sometimes wish I could wake up one morning and there is no old generation in our politics. But life is not lived like that, unfortunately. As you mature, I am in a very good place as a millennial, because then I'm able to understand where the Gen Zs are coming from and where the Gen Xs and the generations above me are coming from. And one of the things that will happen, and I have always told the young people, some of these positions of leadership are not given, they are taken. In my Kikuyu community, there used to be something called Itweka. Itweka was the change of generation. And Itweka was not always peaceful. There are times when this young generation came and took it by force from the other generation. 2027 is going to present us with a very good opportunity. I hear people saying that those old leaders are bad. But usually in every election, there's a young person on the ballot that our generations don't vote for. And then they complain about that old person. When you look at somebody like Raila Amolo Odinga, he most of the times gets many votes from the younger people than he gets from older people, because the bulk of the voters are young. So young people, can you put your vote where your mouth is? I mean, I love you, I support you, I work with you. I am personally offering myself to vie for MP Dagoretti South. But what will determine whether I'll become MP Dagoretti South is the young people. If they choose to vote for somebody else who is older, who's been there, the current MP has been there 2 terms.
But he's
if
young.
They choose to return him back, he will end up serving another 15, 20 years. But they will be complaining and saying that these old people are not leaving the stage. They are not leaving the stage because the people go to the ballot, they can see the names and they are not illiterate, and they choose that old person, and then they come and complain about the old person. I think let democracy prevail. Let the old people put themselves on the ballot, and let the young people put themselves on the ballot. But now we awaken the consciousness of people. And also when you're going to change, don't change for the sake of it. If it is working, if you have one good leader who is sensible and working and fighting for the people, don't remove him barely because you think he's old. Yeah? You have to remove people because they are not performing. There is so many underperforming MPs who are not doing the will of the people. Let's start by removing that rubbish. Remember, if we all had a new Senate tomorrow, we would have problems. I wish to see Senator Onyonka in the next Senate, so that we remove all the bad rubbish and put now Senator Onyonka to come and hold the hands of young people and tell them how not to take 200 million shillings bribe. Otherwise, if we had everybody new in Senate, including the Speaker, what would happen there? So we still need some of these older people, 1, 2, 3, who have common sense and who mean well for Kenya, so that we don't punish people who have denied themselves the luxuries of bribes and so on and so forth at the altar of saying that every old person must go. Let us look at those who deserve and who have a right to be there and return them back.
I mean, but also age should not be like a standard way of punishing you because you're old, go home. As you respond to that,
he has really put it out clearly.
I want you to combine that.
Yes.
And how will Matiang'i clean his bill of health? Because I know the issue that everyone has.
Fantastic. I'll come there. Thank you. I want to mention this to you, and thank you for being realistic. Let me ask you, other than, for example, me, look at how many members of parliament you have who are below the age of 40 in the National Assembly. Who amongst them raises any issue which is controversial? Why? None, because they're on the take. Unless it's Babuino and somebody else, and Salasia, who again has woken up, and Kenyans are like, oh my God, we thought this guy was a danda, useless. He's one of the sharpest brains I've ever met. Why? Because I mentor him. Because he's one of the members of parliament who's been working with me. He asks me, boss, boss, what do you think? Babuino, I can tell you, I saw in the name of God, in the last elections, Raila sent Babuino to come and look for me. Babu was asking me, I feel like I'm not getting it. Where am I missing? Explain to me what you think I need to do. We talked. Look at him. The only thing I can tell you, I told Babu, tone it down. Tone it down. People know you now. Tone it down. They want more detail now. They want specifics. I'll give you another example. Fanya Mambo. If you remove all the people from that house, who is the institutional memory?
Gone. And it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
It's not right.
It's not there. So the argument we are making, this, yes, is time for young people, but let them not take older people who've been part and parcel of fighting for them and condemn them simply because we are older, simply because we look like all of us are the same. We are not the same. I can tell you, I have lost some friends. I have lost a lot of my privacy because my phone is always being tracked. I mean, it is not normal to do what I do and what Fanya Mambo does. It is not normal. Right now, I'm somebody who should be very secure, staying in a place around where you people are, with 3-5 cars, 6 of them, and living large, and traveling out of the country. When guys are in the streets, fly to Zanzibar, they take a flight from there to Turkey, come back when things are settled down. So there are individuals within the older fraternity who have realized that our country is going the wrong direction. And they are saying, those who are elderly, those who are mature in the game of politics, and again, one of the things I can tell you truthfully, the longer you stay in parliament, if you are graced with wisdom, the better you become. My being in parliament for the number of days I've been, I left and then Honorable Kibagendi took over from where I was. For me, Kibagendi is the bridge between me and the Gen Z. So what I would want Kibagendi to do as a member of parliament is to show his excellence, is to tone down, manage the affairs well, speak to the public where there's genuine concern, make sure that it's never personal, and articulate the issues which the public wants. Those are the politicians that Kenya wants. People who are willing to vote against a presidential bill and stand in the floor of the house and say, the reason we are against this, the consequences of this are this and that. So I understand why young people are a bit confused as to why don't we sweep. I myself have said publicly that I wish we could actually sweep everybody and start afresh. But that's not the reality of our life. The reality of our life is like me. I love old cars. None of my cars is less than 10 years. They run, things never break down. So I'm like, yeah, this old stuff works. But again, when I get a new car, I enjoy driving it because it's new and all that.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to say we can balance out and make sure that the young generation we have to play a role of making sure young Kenyans begin to understand that the country is theirs, but they must carry themselves with dignity, make sure that people of responsibility, make sure that they are not swallowed onto this thing of hoopla and G-wagons and putting it on social, wearing a watch that is a million shillings,
It's the older generation teaching
without
them.
understanding where our vulnerable people are right now.
That's true.
Yeah,
But you
where
know-
our vulnerable people, where the community of poor Kenyans is shocking.
You know, we've seen the president with an expensive watch,
Yes.
his CSAs, shoes, shirts, red bottom.
Yes.
That was raised on one of
For
those
me,
interviews.
he can wear those things if Shah was working. He can wear those things. I mean, I have no problem with that. Maybe that's his fetish.
Could be.
Yeah, maybe that. But you see, don't have your fetishes
And make
at
them.
my expense.
Yes, because we are all.
All right, I don't want these people to think that we are jealous because they're driving helicopters and they're driving these big cars. Some of us don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. How I wish that helicopter would be stationed in Kenyatta so that when there's an emergency, it flies and brings patients.
Not going to
Not
show.
going on these shows where people are going to funerals and they're parading. You saw the story where people are going for a marathon in some place and there were 19 helicopters carrying members of parliament and leadership. And then the person who won the race is given 15,000.
That was a.
What is wrong with us?
That was sad.
That's the dysfunctionality I'm struggling with. That here we are, we've taken such a turn in money worship, in cheerleading, in extravagance expenditure, everything you can imagine. And yet, on the opposite side, they really don't give a damn on what's happening.
That's true.
Yeah.
Question 2, Matiang'i.
Yes.
and the
So let me
River
answer
Yala.
you.
Because, lives were lost. That's
Thank you. That is very true.
Can
Let
I
me.
say something about that before you
Yes,
go in?
yes, please do. I'll answer it. Yeah.
I'd like to say this. Have you asked yourself a question? That the exact same style of people being killed and disappearing when Uhuru was president,
Yes.
that exact same style is happening now.
Yes.
There's such a similarity. The way it was happening then,
Yes.
the River Yalas and everything, it's still happening now.
Yes.
Only that now sometimes the bodies are being found in city mortuary.
Yes.
That is one thing that I worried about. I was like, there's a pattern. It was happening then.
Yes.
And it is happening now. And then the next thing I asked myself was, if that is what was happening then and is happening now, then the next question I asked myself is this. During the Uhuru time, none of the bodies that was ever collected was associated with political assassination. Like you couldn't say, and I'm not justifying the killings, they were not right. But you cannot say that there's someone who opposed government then that was found in
They
Ribayala.
actually opposed.
But the bulk of what we are seeing now are people who've opposed government. So, yeah.
So can I
Mambo,
answer?
think
Can I
you
answer that?
Please answer.
Let me answer.
And
I want
also
to.
do not, let's not justify that they were not.
No. I don't.
Okay, we're filming, so there's something he's sorting. He will step out, but he'll be back. Yes.
Let me tell you this. I would be the last person to sanitize anything that any leader has done, including myself. I've got two issues that I've raised. Number one, when Matiang'i, I'm pleading with Kenyans, especially the young Kenyans. I would want them to hold their horses until Matiang'i comes, then he'll be able to answer that question
Okay.
himself, because he's the candidate. I am not the candidate. Number two, the truth about the scenario on what happened is that for me, I'm looking at it now as a legislator. And of course, I want to be amongst the first person to actually confess that I never thought those issues of abducting kids and abducting people. I used to see guys being arrested from Mombasa. Muhuri, the non-government organization, would stand up and say, and I would look at it and I brush it off casually. I was in that space until I began to understand this. My suggestion was this: if Matiang'i broke the law, I believe the law allows it for due process to take place. And I believe if there is somebody who is able to even bring a private prosecution, or somebody who's willing to raise those issues publicly, I believe Matiang'i will be able to defend himself. That's item number one. I've even stated how the arrest and the bundling of Miguna from where he was staying his house onto that incident on the plane and everything, I said, for me, I have absolutely no remorse for that. I don't understand the circumstances which were made Matiang'i to make that decision so that Miguna could be handled like that. It was wrong, and for me, justice has to be served. So I'm saying, even when those accusations and allegations are being put that Matiang'i participated with the Uhuru government for certain individuals to be abducted, here we are. When we messed up chapter 6, you are innocent until proven guilty. So, as far as I'm concerned, let Matiang'i come. If he's guilty over those charges, let them be dealt with. But for now, I know that Matiang'i is a threat to some individuals because very many young people give him credit. Very many people like his style. Very many people saw what he did in education. Those are his positives. Yeah. I believe that by the time he comes and talks about his positives and he explains himself about those issues, Kenyans, because they are of rational mind, will then draw a proper conclusion as to whether he's the person they would want to be president or not.
Agreed.
Thank you.
And Dr. Matiang'i, when you're back, please come here. We will also be very happy to host you and just to hear what the plan is.
When he comes, I'll ask him to come and do a show with you.
We'll be very happy. Thank you so much. Something else that I would want to talk about, just the other day again, immediately, a few days after Martha launched her party, we have seen you meeting. You, Jimmy Wanjigi, Eugene Wamalwa, Martha Karua, Kalonzo Musyoka, and Rigiji Wamunyoro Express, as it's called. What's this unity about, and is it about the people?
Actually, the meeting we had was not even about unity.
Oh.
It's about strategy.
Oh, so you guys are working on a strategy where you can work on a coalition.
What are we for? What do we stand for? What are we discussing? How are we going to be able to explain to our people who see all of us, if not half of us, as having been the abettors and the colluders of this bad governance that has existed? Fortunately, Kalonzo has never been corrupt. Fortunately, I pass master. Fortunately, anybody could raise issues about Rigiji. And I'm saying we are not looking for angels to manage our country in the coming election.
Agreed.
The unfortunate thing is that is where God has placed us. So we are going to look for the basic minimums. And we are saying we don't want our discussion, our general discussion about the coming elections to be that the only thing we want to do is basically chase William Ruto away. Then
yeah, because I remember Jimmy Wanjigi question.
Yes, so we have started from where Jimmy left it. What is it that this country needs to do? What is it that the political class is going to own up and stand for the people? And we are not going to have the nonsense that has been going on for the last, most probably, the last 30 years.
All right. Yes. Something else that, of course, is within that. Of course, Ruto obviously is speaking about a second term, so that's obvious. What will be your take on Maraga Omtata combination, because they're having a people's dialogue forum together? Maraga hasn't stated whether he's interested, but at least Omtata said he's doing a research to find out if indeed people want him as president.
Thank you. The point is this: if the Kenyan public feels that the person they are going to bring to be president of the Republic of Kenya, and they think he's qualified enough to do that, who am I to disagree? I can't. Because that is their decision. The only thing I'm raising, and this is the point I've made, is that yes, even when we want to raise the matter of integrity to be the clarion call, that we want people who are clean, we want people who are not going to do ABCD, the question then becomes, what happens if Maraga is not able to catch the master? What happens if, I'll give you an example. There are many people who think Omtata is really a wonderful guy, but they think he may not make presidential material. I don't know. My argument is all these people of like mind, at some point, if they're sincere and genuine, I can give you an example. In the name of God, if somebody gave me a chance and capacity to be president of Kenya, I would make a damn good president.
Oh, you would?
Oh, absolutely. Because I see the stuff. I'm not going to employ villagers from my village because they are my villagers. I'm going to make sure that we don't suffer from the institutional dysfunctionality that exists in this government. I will make sure that everybody is aware that you're not going to steal the resources. If you do, and you're caught like Kagame, we'll pick you and you'll be jailed, and there's nothing you're going to do about it. That is, why can't we have meritocracy? Why can't we have order? Why can't we clean up our behavior? That, to me, is possible.
And very possible.
It's very possible. So any of these individuals, as far as I'm concerned, are people. We respect each other and are people who love this country, I think, more than anybody else. And we are saying we are headed in the wrong direction. We can tilt this train and bring it back on the rail, and Kenya will continue. When we are not there, we would want Kenyans to say, do you know how proud and wonderful it is, even though these days nobody gives a damn about it? Look at Martin Shikuku. Look at Masinde Muliro. Look at Orengo. Let people not see the Orengo's old now. This is a guy who would stand up and tell the police officer, shoot me if that's what you have to do. And yet it wasn't a joke. People died.
Yeah.
People were shot. So there were younger politicians who meant well. There are good politicians who have meant well for our country. I don't think that many have ceased to exist. I believe that with time, these forces are going to coalesce and we'll come up with something that is going to make our country get into the right direction.
And probably it will work. But as we come to an end,
yes.
I want us to maybe record a different episode of your story and some geopolitics
yes.
stuff for like maybe 30 minutes.
Yes.
But as we conclude, do you think Raila Odinga is going to work with Ruto proper full-time? And number two, there have been talks of Moses Wetangula being impeached. Do you see that coming?
I'll tell you, number one, I believe Raila is going to force government, is going to work with William Ruto. What we forget very quickly is that Raila joined Uhuru. I don't know how Uhuru managed to manage him for those 5 years. Remember, there was a handshake.
Yeah.
And there wasn't much noise. Raila would never comment about Uhuru's. You could see once in a while he will say something, but whether President William Ruto will change his style, because you've heard everybody says he is a one-man guitar. He controls and manages everybody. He discusses everybody that is able to ask a question, and then he gives an answer, then he gives a conclusion, and then he guides. Now, Raila knows him to be that. I do not know whether some of the issues that have been raised, William Ruto is willing to give Raila space so that Raila then can even pronounce himself, and then you can now discuss and say he has relevance. If Raila joins government, for his team and our brothers in ODM and everybody else in ODM, especially my brothers I see saying how power is sweet, and all they're going to do is basically join on the gravy train, make sure they are fighting for all the money to be taken to their region, disregarding everybody else. With time, and sometimes time is really incredible, with time, most probably in the next 1 or 2 years, I need to see this budget and see the next budget, then I can put the two together. I'll tell you which games are being played, because we are going to look at that budget with a tooth comb. We are going to see which money has been given to who, how much it is, which money has been given. There are members of parliament today, as I speak to you, who are given 800 million, 900 million to go and do Maram roads in his constituency, if not in his county. One MP, 900 million shillings.
There was another one who got $1 billion.
Thank you. That is exactly what is happening. That is what this dysfunctional system that individuals will sometimes even blackmail the executive to be given these transactions. And when they get that money, it's not that he's getting the money alone. You'll find that when he's given that job, he might be given 6 other guys or 10. that once the deal is done, he shares the those
loot,
things. Yeah.
the budgeted corruption.
Yes.
Very unfortunate. Wetangula's survivor.
As far as I'm concerned, Weta is my friend, because you remember once I was in Fort Kenya. I have a lot of respect for him. I think I disagree with him right now, or even if I didn't disagree with him, I would have wished, and I've never said this in public, I think it's important to say it, I would have wished that he raised the outstanding issues. He stops the president from making some of the decisions he's making, which are bad. The reality is that once the president knows that the speaker is with him, and he has got the members of parliament, and he has the speaker and the other speaker at the Senate, and also he has the senators, basically you have no checks and balances.
So that's gone.
That's gone. So whether the president decides to keep Weta there, for me, it would really mess up Western for the president's sake. The simple reason is that the Western team now owns those jobs. They are saying Weta is theirs, and they don't want anybody to touch him. Tawe movement has exposed all the leadership class in Western Kenya, and has brought in the fundamental issues that many people at the national level, I believe Natembe is doing very well, even when a lot of people dismiss him at the local level, because sometimes local politics has its own arrangements. When you go to the national level, it has a different arrangement. My belief is they'll get their own balances. I think the public is watching both sides to see which side is going to deliver. As I said, if President William Ruto and Raila run the country efficiently, make sure that everything that is broken down right now is working, make sure that we stop this idea of discriminating against ourselves as Kenyans, where we now want to take communities and create a narrative that these communities are fighting. Particularly, there's a narrative being created that the Central Kenya community or the Murima community, they are tribal. Boss, this was a deal between the people of Central and the president. Boss, if you don't own up on what you have dealt, these people will hate you.
Yeah.
So what you need is not to go and tell them how they hate you, because they voted for you. They didn't hate you. You got 3 million votes from them. They didn't hate you. So this narrative you're trying to create that, we can remove these Central people, they're always like that. And gosh, I can say that about Kisii. I can say that about Western. I can say that about any community in Kenya. We want people to own up and be responsible. If you strike a deal, like I told you, we're intending to bring out our party. We want to go and negotiate with whoever, including Raila. The person that our party may not negotiate with is Ruto. So the point I'm making is, if we negotiate with Raila and he doesn't own up with what we have negotiated with, how do you expect us to treat him? We'll treat him badly.
Wow.
Yes.
I think we will end it at this point now. Senator, thank you so much for coming through. I don't know if you have some closing words to Kenyans, because you've become a celeb in the Kenyan political space.
No, I'm not a celeb. I want to say that once again, thank you so much for you giving me an opportunity to come to your studios. I think you've been asking me to come, and you've been doing an excellent job with Fanya Mambo. I'm proud of you guys. I'm positive that our country will change. I've not given up yet. I believe that Kenya has good people, that we can change the trajectory of the country. I believe that we can manage our resources better. I believe we can be much more kinder to each other. We are too brash, too rash, too careless, too hateful. And yet in reality, we never asked to get our neighbors, we never asked to get this country. It is the only thing that is left, that can be left for Kenyans. So I'm really hoping that for some of us who have remained out there, will continue on this journey. I don't know where it takes me. I'm determined. I don't think anybody can twist me, blackmail me, even try and abduct me so that I stop talking what I'm saying. I believe that if the president was magnanimous, he should go back and ask himself, what is it that he can do better so that Kenyans can go down to the grassroots and start working, and people feel like we have a country where we all belong. So I'm positive, and I'm happy that I hope you'll call me again to come here next time.
Yes, we shall for sure. A luta continua for Kenya, because it's, I mean, we have hope in the people that we elected, and sometimes they disappoint. So
Yes.
even when the offer gets to $1 billion,
Yes.
please don't disappoint us.
If I get $1 billion shillings, I will instantly die.
For the shock.
I have never handled that kind of money. What would I do? How many suits can I buy? How many cars? Which houses? You die.
Okay, so don't give him $1 billion. We want him to stay alive longer so we can keep
And if
changing
they give me
Kenya.
10 million, it will be so little, I may not be able to buy anything that I like. So if I don't have money,
Your taste is expensive.
It is.
I like that.
It is.
Wow.
You see, this kaunda I do with my tailor is locally made a Kenyan, and it doesn't cost more than 10K. You see how nice I look?
Yeah, very sharp.
Yeah,
All the
you
time.
can think it's
In
100,000.
fact, every time we see the kaunda, now we are reminded of something.
My tailor is very happy.
Very happy.
Yes.
And we are happy for him. He's doing a fantastic
It's a lady.
job.
It's a lady. Yeah.
Ah, thank you, Lady Taylor.
Yeah,
Keep
she's
it up.
a good
It's
tailor. Thank you
amazing.
so much.
Yeah, maybe I should also do one kaunda.
Yeah, by the way, I'll give her your number.
Talk to
Yes,
her and
I'll
tell
tell her
to
to.
be
Yes.
fair. And you will
yes.
sort the bill, of course. I mean,
Yes.
there's enough money.
It's not more than 10K. It's affordable.
That's kidogo. Guys, thank you so much for watching Fanya Mambo. Of course, our very own Fanya Mambo walked away. He had a meeting he had to attend to, but you know he's always present. So he's not always bad-mannered like today. It was one of those. I have enjoyed and learned a lot interacting with the senator, and I hope you did too. And it's time for us to wake up and go for good leadership if we truly want change in this country. That's the only way. And here is an example of what good leadership is. So thank you for watching. We'll catch you on the next episode. And remember to watch out. We have a mini-sode with the senator about his story and some geopolitics stuff. So check it out.